Hey everyone. This is Six Path Weeb, and I'm thrilled to welcome each one of you back to the channel. Today, we dive deeper into our epic fanfiction journey with What If Naruko Awakened Complete 10 Tails Mastery? Part 3. The war has shifted. The balance of power is no longer fragile, it's evolving. With complete control over the 10 Tails' overwhelming chakra, Naruko isn't just fighting destiny. She's rewriting it. Allies will question their limits. Enemies will face a power beyond imagination. And the very foundation of the shinobi world will begin to tremble. If you've been following this series, you already know the stakes are higher than ever. And if you're new here, buckle up, because this is where legends are forged. Disclaimer: the content on this channel is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Now, without wasting any more time, let's begin. Sarutobi looked at the young blonde girl who was like a granddaughter to him, giving her a sheepish and slightly ashamed look. "Naruko-chan," he said gently, "this is the second time you've failed. I'm not sure what to do anymore." "It wasn't my fault, Dadabayo," Naruko declared, her voice echoing through the office and making the papers on the desk flutter. "Kimiko-sensei never lets me participate. She always sends me out of class." Sarutobi folded his hands kindly. "Teachers work very hard to treat all students fairly. Perhaps if you took your studies more seriously and skipped class less often, things would be different." Naruko scratched the back of her head and gave him a sheepish grin. "I'm sorry, Oji-san. I really did try. It's just, class feels so slow sometimes. I don't understand why I need to memorize old village laws when I want to become Hokage." The aging Hokage smiled warmly. "Because a Hokage is not only strong. She must be wise, patient, and kind. She must understand the village and the people in it. Leadership begins with learning." Naruko straightened. "I understand. I promise I'll pass next time. And when I do, you'll have to give me that hat." "I will be very happy to see that day," Sarutobi said, watching her run out with a sigh full of fond affection. A summer of questions. That summer, Naruko found herself with more time than she had expected. She had failed the academy again, and though she tried to smile about it, her heart felt heavy. As she wandered near the Hokage monument, a gentle voice echoed in her thoughts. "There is somewhere I would like you to go," said Akane. Akane was not frightening, though others might have thought so. She was an ancient guardian spirit, once known as the 10-tailed wolf of legend. Long ago, she had watched over the land of fire. Now, her spirit and Naruko's were connected in a mysterious way. "Where?" Naruko asked softly. "Behind the monument. Keep walking until you feel something unusual." Naruko obeyed. The forest was quiet, with sunlight flickering through the leaves. After nearly an hour of searching, she placed her hands on her hips. "What am I looking for?" "Reach out with your chakra," Akane instructed gently. "Feel the world around you." Naruko closed her eyes and focused. She had been practicing this for years. Slowly, she released a careful wave of chakra. The air in front of her shimmered like warm sunlight over stone. "There," she gasped. "It looks like the air is bending." "A hidden illusion," Akane explained. "Very old. Very carefully placed." Naruko concentrated harder. She remembered what she had learned. Sometimes illusions could be dispelled with focus and control. But this one felt different, steady, rooted, like it belonged there. "You can't break it," Akane said kindly. "But I can." Naruko nodded. "I trust you." For a moment, her blue eyes flickered with a golden glow, not fierce, not frightening, just bright and warm like a sunrise. The air pulsed softly. The shimmer dissolved like mist. Before them stood a 2-story house. It was made of wood and brick, with wide windows and a garden that had once been carefully tended. Flowers had grown wild, but they still bloomed in cheerful colors. Naruko stared. "Whose house is this?" "Go inside," Akane replied. The House of Beginnings. The door creaked softly as Naruko pushed it open. Dust floated in beams of sunlight. The house was quiet, but not lonely. On the wall hung a faded painting of a smiling family beneath a bright sky. On a table lay old scrolls filled with careful handwriting. A shelf held wooden toys shaped like little wolves. Naruko felt something warm in her chest. "This place feels familiar," she whispered. "It should," Akane said gently. "Long ago, when the village was first built, this was the home of the first guardian family who worked alongside me. They believed that strength and kindness must grow together. Naruko walked slowly through the rooms. She could almost imagine laughter echoing down the hallway. Why was it hidden? She asked. Because people began to fear what they did not understand, Akane replied softly. When fear grows, people hide things away instead of learning about them. Naruko frowned thoughtfully. That's not fair. No, Akane agreed. But it is something you can change. Naruko stopped in the center of the room. Me? You carry both determination and compassion. You want to become Hokage. Not for power, but because you want everyone to see you. To believe in you. To feel proud of you. Naruko's cheeks flushed slightly. It was true. A true leader, Akane continued, does not demand respect. She earns it through patience, understanding, and steady effort. This house was once a place of learning and harmony. It can be that again. Naruko's eyes sparkled. We can fix it up. Clean it. Make it beautiful again. Yes, Akane said warmly. And perhaps invite others to learn here. A new beginning. The next day, Naruko returned with cleaning supplies she had borrowed, after asking politely, from the academy. She worked all morning, sweeping, dusting, and clearing the garden. At first, she worked alone. Then a classmate wandered by, curious. What are you doing? The girl asked. Fixing something important, Naruko replied with a grin. Want to help? The girl hesitated, then nodded. Soon, 2 more students joined. They laughed as they pulled weeds and planted new flowers. Naruko found herself explaining what she had learned about chakra control. This time, she spoke calmly, carefully. For the first time, she wasn't trying to prove herself. She was simply sharing. As the sun set, the little house glowed warmly. It wasn't perfect, but it felt alive again. Sarutobi visited the next week. He stood quietly at the gate, watching Naruko patiently guide her classmates through a breathing exercise. When she noticed him, she ran over. Oji-san. Look what we made. Sarutobi smiled, eyes shining. I see more than a house, Naruko-chan. I see leadership. Naruko blinked. But I still failed the exam. Exams measure knowledge, he said gently. Today, you showed wisdom. Naruko looked back at her friends, who were laughing together in the garden. For the first time, failing didn't feel like the end of the world. It felt like the beginning of something new. She clenched her fists with determination, not in frustration, but in promise. I'll study harder, she said. I'll listen better. And I'll become a Hokage everyone can smile about. Akane's voice hummed softly in her heart. That, she said, is the true power of the 10-tailed wolf, not fear, but light. And beneath the evening sky, Naruko felt something growing inside her, not just strength, but understanding. Her journey had only just begun. Naruko stood very still as Akane's words echoed gently across the calm lake inside her mindscape. Minato Namikaze. Your father. The world did not shake. The lake did not roar. Instead, everything grew quiet, like the soft hush before sunrise. My father? Naruko whispered. She kept her promise not to interrupt, though her hands trembled slightly in her lap. She had spent so many nights wondering who her parents were. She had imagined brave adventurers, kind bakers, wandering musicians, anything that would explain why she felt both lonely and strong at the same time. Akane's golden eyes softened. Yes. Your mother was Kushina Uzumaki, and your father was Minato Namikaze. They loved this village deeply. And they loved you even more. Naruko blinked back warm tears. Loved. The word felt fragile and powerful all at once. Akane continued gently, this house was once theirs. The nursery upstairs was prepared for you before you were born. The orange walls were your mother's idea. The blue stripes were your father's suggestion. They argued playfully about which stuffed animals you would like best. Naruko remembered the room, the bright colors, the cradle, the toys covered in dust. It had felt like stepping into a dream she did not know she had. But why didn't they stay with me? She asked softly. Akane folded her hands together. Long ago, when fear spread through the land, people misunderstood the power of the Baijuo. Instead of seeing them as ancient spirits of nature, many saw them only as tools. Some even tried to control them through sealing. She looked at Naruko carefully. There is a powerful spirit sealed within you. Not to harm you. Not to control you. But to protect the balance between humans and the wild world. Naruko touched her stomach thoughtfully. She had always felt something warm there, Like a flicker of light waiting to be understood. Your parents made a choice, Akane said. They believed you would grow into someone who could show the world a new path. A path where strength is guided by kindness. Where power is shaped by friendship. They trusted you. Naruko's shoulders straightened a little. They didn't leave you because they feared you, Akane added firmly. They left you in the care of the village because they believed in you. For a long moment, Naruko said nothing. The wind brushed across the lake, making small ripples that shimmered like silver threads. I always wanted to be someone important, she admitted at last. Someone everyone would notice. Akane smiled. Being important does not mean being feared. It means being someone others can rely on. Someone who listens. Someone who lifts others up. Naruko thought about her classmates at the academy. About how she had once tried to impress them with loud jokes and wild ideas. About how she felt happiest not when people laughed at her tricks, but when someone smiled because she had helped them. So. The seal on the door, Naruko said slowly. It wasn't trying to hurt me. No, Akane replied. It recognized you. It simply asked for a small portion of your chakra to confirm who you are. Only you could open this house. Naruko's eyes widened. Only me? You are their daughter, Akane said. And you are your own person. Both things are true. The lake shimmered brighter. Naruko stood up and looked across her mindscape. It no longer felt like a lonely place. It felt like a garden waiting to grow. I want to learn everything, she said with new determination. Not to become a weapon. Not to scare anyone. But to protect my friends. To make sure no one feels alone like I did. Akane rose as well. That is a noble dream. Naruko grinned, a spark of her usual brightness returning. Then I'll train hard. I'll make friends. I'll listen. And one day, I'll show everyone that the power inside me is something good. Far above them, in the quiet house, dust motes drifted through the soft evening light. The pictures on the walls seemed almost warmer somehow. Naruko did not have every answer yet. She did not understand every mystery about the ancient spirits or the history of her village. But she understood something more important. She was not alone. She was loved. And she would grow, not into a weapon, but into a bridge. A bridge between fear and understanding. Between strength and kindness. Between who she had been and who she was becoming. Akane placed a gentle hand over her heart. Your story is only beginning, Naruko. Naruko smiled bravely. Then let's make it a good one. Naruko stood very still, her bright blue eyes wide with surprise. My father. Was the Yondaime? She whispered. The title Yondaime Hokage had always felt like a distant legend to her. The Yondaime was known throughout the Hidden Leaf village as a brilliant and gentle leader, someone who protected others with wisdom and calm courage. Naruko had seen his portrait in the Hokage's office many times. She had noticed how his golden hair stood up in cheerful spikes, just like hers. She had noticed the warm smile they seemed to share. But she had never imagined that he was her father. Inside the quiet space of her heart, Akane's soft voice answered her. Yes, Akane said kindly. He was your father. And your mother loved you more than the morning sun loves the sky. Naruko's hands trembled slightly. For as long as she could remember, she had wondered why she felt different. Why she sometimes felt a deep, glowing energy inside her, like a hidden sunrise waiting to shine. You mean? He chose me? She asked. Akane's voice held warmth and pride. He believed in you. He believed that one day you would grow into someone strong, not just in power, but in heart. He trusted your kindness. He trusted your courage. Naruko swallowed. 1,000 thoughts swirled through her mind. She had always admired the Yondaime from afar. To learn that he was her father made her heart feel both light and heavy at once. He sealed you inside me, didn't he? Naruko asked gently. Yes, Akane replied. But not because he wanted to burden you. He did it to protect the village and to give you the chance to grow alongside me. I was wild and full of storm clouds back then. But you have helped me become calm. Naruko blinked. Me? Yes, Akane said with a soft laugh. Your kindness is stronger than you realize. Naruko felt tears gather in her eyes. She had tried for so long to be brave. She had tried to smile even when she felt lonely. She had tried to prove that she belonged. Now she understood something important. Her father had believed in her before she could even believe in herself. Akane's presence wrapped around her like a warm blanket. It's all right to cry, she whispered. And so Naruko did. She cried for the confusion she had felt. She cried for the questions she had carried alone. But most of all, she cried because she finally understood that she had never truly been alone. When her tears slowed, she wiped her cheeks and took a deep breath. "I want to become someone worthy of them," she said. "Not because I have to. But because I want to." Akane's voice shimmered with pride. "You already are, Naruko. But growth is a journey. And I will walk it with you." The House of Hidden Stars. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the windows of the house Naruko had discovered. It felt strangely familiar, as though it remembered her even if she did not remember it. With Akane's guidance, she explored. The first floor held a cozy kitchen, a quiet office, and a living room filled with old but beautiful furniture. The second floor had several bedrooms, including one small nursery painted in soft colors. Naruko paused there, feeling a gentle ache in her chest, but also warmth. Then she found the basement. It was enormous, far larger than she expected. The first level was a training hall, with smooth mats covering the floor and mysterious lines etched into the walls and ceiling. "Those are seals," Akane explained. "They are special markings that store and guide energy. Your father was very skilled with them." Naruko ran her fingers just above one of the glowing lines, careful not to touch it. "They're beautiful," she murmured. The next level was an armory, neatly organized with tools of many kinds. There were staffs, practice blades, weighted chains, and other fascinating objects. Behind glass at the far end of the room, Naruko spotted several unusual three-pronged kunai. Each had delicate seal markings carved into the handle. "Those were your father's special tools," Akane said. "He created a technique that allowed him to move with incredible speed and precision." Naruko stared at them in awe. "He must have practiced a lot." "He did," Akane replied. "But more importantly, he never stopped learning." Naruko smiled. That was something she could do too. On the lowest level, she discovered a vast library. Shelves upon shelves stretched in every direction, filled with scrolls and books. There were sections for physical training, illusion techniques, elemental arts, and seal crafting. Naruko's eyes sparkled. "This is amazing." "Yes," Akane agreed. "And this is where your journey truly begins." Naruko wandered through the ninjutsu section until Akane spoke again. "There is one technique I think would suit you well," she said thoughtfully. "Your mother once called it Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, the shadow clone technique." Naruko tilted her head. "Shadow clones?" "Yes," Akane explained. "Unlike simple illusions, these clones are real and solid. They can think, move, and learn alongside you. When they disappear, everything they experienced returns to you." Naruko's eyes widened. "That means I could practice twice as much. Or 3 times. Or even more." Akane laughed gently. "Exactly. But remember, this is not just about becoming stronger. It is about understanding yourself. Each clone is a reflection of you. Working with them will teach you patience, teamwork, and trust." Naruko placed her hands together, determination shining in her expression. "I want to try." She closed her eyes and focused on the warm, steady energy within her. She imagined that energy dividing gently, like beams of sunlight splitting through tree branches. "Shadow clone technique," she called. With soft puffs of shimmering light, 2 identical Narukos appeared beside her. They blinked in surprise. Then all 3 of them burst into delighted laughter. "This is amazing!" one clone exclaimed. "We're going to learn so much," said the other. Naruko looked at her reflections, at herself, and felt something new bloom in her heart. She wasn't alone. Not because of power. Not because of destiny. But because she carried within her the love of her parents, the guidance of Akane, and the courage to grow. And that was only the beginning of the story of Naruko, the girl who would shine brighter than any star, not through fear or force, but through friendship, perseverance, and the unbreakable belief that kindness is the greatest strength of all. Naruko had always believed that learning was an adventure, especially when it involved a technique as remarkable as the Kage Bunshin. When she first mastered it, her training did not simply improve, it blossomed. The Kage Bunshin allowed Naruko to create many copies of herself. Each one could think, move, practice, and explore just as she could. When a clone finished its task and disappeared in a gentle puff of smoke, everything it had learned returned to her. For most ninja, this would be helpful. For Naruko, whose chakra reserve seemed to stretch as wide as the horizon, it was extraordinary. Every morning at sunrise, she stood in a quiet clearing and formed her hand signs with steady focus. Shadow clone technique. With a swirl of white mist, dozens of Narukos appeared, each one grinning with the same determined spark in her eyes. She organized them into groups. One practiced elemental manipulation. Another carefully studied the art of sealing. A third focused on chakra control exercises to help her manage her ever-growing energy. Her chakra control training was less about gaining more and more power and more about balance. Akane had taught her that strength without harmony was like wind without direction. Naruko had practiced balancing leaves on water, guiding chakra along the bark of trees, and even attempting advanced exercises that required enormous reserves. She still joked that some of them demanded legendary beast-level chakra, but she kept trying anyway. Her Fuinjutsu training was slower, yet deeply satisfying. She could now create simple storage scrolls and harmless practice tags that popped with colored smoke instead of explosions. Though she had only started recently, her natural talent shone through. Each scroll she completed felt like a small promise of what she could one day achieve. As for elemental training, Akane had given her chakra paper to discover her affinities. When Naruko infused it with energy, the paper reacted dramatically, splitting at the edges, crinkling, and sparking with warmth. Akane had smiled knowingly. Wind is your strongest element, she explained. It responded first. You also carry the warmth of fire, and a spark of lightning too. Naruko's eyes had widened with wonder. 3 elements. It felt like carrying 3 songs inside her heart. They began with wind. The first exercise was simple in theory: use chakra to slice a leaf cleanly in 2. In practice, it required patience. Naruko imagined her chakra as 2 fine edges moving in harmony. With the help of her clones, she practiced again and again. By the end of the month, a leaf fluttered apart in her hand like a perfectly folded letter. That evening, after her clones dismissed themselves in careful intervals, so she would not be overwhelmed by returning memories, Naruko headed home. She maintained her small apartment to keep life simple and grounded, just as Akane had advised. After a quick shower and a quiet moment of reflection, Naruko lay on her bed and entered the seal within her mind. Story of the Ten-Tailed Wolf. The mindscape forest shimmered in soft twilight colors. Trees swayed gently, and a waterfall hummed in the distance. "Akane-chan?" Naruko called. Instead of an answer, she heard humming. It was gentle and wordless, like wind through chimes. Following the sound, Naruko arrived at a clearing near the waterfall. Akane stood there, fully dressed in a flowing red kimono, her long hair catching the misty light. She was not bathing, she was simply standing by the water, eyes closed, humming peacefully. Naruko stopped, listening in awe. "I didn't know you could sing like that," she said softly. Akane opened one eye and smiled. 1,000 years gives one time to learn a few things. Naruko laughed and joined her by the water's edge. "You said you had something important to tell me?" Akane nodded. "Yes. I think it is time for you to gain experience beyond training alone. You have grown strong, Naruko, but strength is not only about techniques. It is about understanding people. Working with them. Protecting them. Learning from them." Naruko's expression turned thoughtful. "You mean teamwork?" "Exactly," Akane replied. "You have mastered practicing with yourself. Now you must learn to trust others." Naruko looked at her reflection in the water. She had spent years pushing herself to improve. But Akane was right. Growth was not only about power. It was about connection. "I want to help people," Naruko said quietly. "Not just become strong. I want to make others smile." Akane's eyes softened. "And that is why you will become remarkable." They sat together beneath the trees as Akane spoke about emotional strength, the courage to admit mistakes, the patience to forgive, and the bravery to ask for help when needed. Naruko listened carefully, absorbing each word like sunlight. When she returned to her apartment later that night, she felt lighter. Her training had strengthened her body and chakra, but this conversation had strengthened her heart. The next morning, Naruko once again filled the clearing with clones. But this time, before beginning practice, she addressed them. "We're not just training to be powerful," she said. "We're training to be dependable. To protect. To support. To grow." Her clones cheered in agreement before dispersing into their groups. As the sun rose higher in the sky, Naruko sliced another leaf cleanly in half. The wind carried it away, and she smiled. She was still learning. Still growing. And that was exactly how it should be. Because true strength, she was beginning to understand, came not from standing alone, but from standing together. A new chapter for Naruko. A month had passed since Naruko discovered something surprising, not about the world, but about herself. She had always been energetic and fearless, but lately she had begun noticing new emotions swirling inside her heart. She felt shy around her mentor Akane at times, especially after long training sessions when Akane praised her with warm smiles. Naruko did not quite understand why her cheeks turned pink whenever she received kind words, but she knew one thing for certain: she wanted to grow stronger, not just in skill, but in understanding herself. Instead of confusion, Naruko chose courage. Instead of embarrassment, she chose learning. Instead of running away from her feelings, she chose to face them with honesty. That was her ninja way. Training in the mindscape. Naruko stood beside the shimmering lake inside her mindscape, a special inner world where she trained with Akane. The lake reflected the sky like polished glass, and when Naruko looked into it, she noticed something interesting. Her reflection looked slightly older. Not taller. Not different. Just wiser. Akane-chan, Naruko asked thoughtfully, why do I look older here? Akane smiled gently. Because this place reflects your heart and mind. You are learning quickly, Naruko. Every experience shapes you. Growth is not measured only by years, it is measured by understanding. Naruko tilted her head, thinking carefully. So even if I'm still young, she said slowly, my heart can grow stronger every day? Yes, Akane replied warmly. And the stronger your heart becomes, the more clearly you will understand yourself and others. Naruko beamed. She liked that idea. She splashed cool water on her face and laughed. Then I'll just keep growing. I'm going to become someone who understands everyone. A different kind of mission. Outside the mindscape, Naruko practiced her movement patterns beneath the open sky. Her shadow clones worked nearby, each focused and determined. She stumbled, corrected her stance, and tried again. And again. And again. Perseverance was her greatest strength. After finishing her final sequence, she paused and listened as Akane spoke within her mind. Naruko, Akane said gently, it's time for your next challenge. Naruko straightened proudly. I'm ready. This will not be about strength, Akane continued. It will not be about speed. It will not be about winning. Naruko blinked. Then what is it about? Akane's voice softened. It is time for you to face your first true test of the heart. Tomorrow, you will help someone who feels alone. Naruko's eyes widened. Someone? Lonely? Yes. Just as you once felt. Naruko's chest tightened slightly. She remembered those quiet evenings when she had wished someone would understand her. Someone had eventually reached out, and that had changed everything. She nodded firmly. Then I'll do it. I'll help them smile. The real strength of a ninja. The next day, Naruko met a younger child sitting alone near the academy steps. The child stared at the ground, shoulders drooping. Naruko did not charge in loudly like she normally would. Instead, she sat beside them quietly. Hi, she said gently. I used to sit alone too. The child peeked up in surprise. Naruko smiled warmly. It feels heavy sometimes, doesn't it? After a moment, the child nodded. Naruko stayed. She listened. She shared stories of her own struggles. She admitted when she felt confused. She explained how training wasn't only about kicks and jumps, it was about learning how to understand your own heart. By the end of the afternoon, the child was laughing. And Naruko realized something important. Strength was not about defeating an enemy. It was about lifting someone up. A new reflection. That evening, Naruko returned to her mindscape lake. She looked at her reflection again. It looked a little brighter. Not older. Not bigger. Just brighter. Akane's voice echoed softly. How do you feel? Naruko placed a hand over her heart. Like I'm becoming the kind of ninja who protects feelings, she said. Not just people. Akane chuckled warmly. That is the rarest kind of strength. Naruko grinned at her reflection. She still had much to learn. She would stumble. She would blush. She would question herself. But she would also grow. Because Naruko had discovered the most important truth of all. The strongest ninja is not the one who wins the most battles. The strongest ninja is the one who never stops choosing kindness. And she would keep choosing it, every single day. Dear YouTube family. That's all for now, but the journey doesn't stop here. If you enjoyed this video and want to be part of what's coming next, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support means everything and helps this community grow stronger with every upload. Until the next adventure, Stay inspired and stay tuned. Thank you. Regards. 6 Path Weeb.